Good morning. Welcome to the 2023 Annual Stockholders Meeting of Asia Pacific Medical Center, Iloilo Incorporated. We would like to inform our stockholders that copies of the meeting documents, including the 2023 Definitive Information Statement, may be downloaded from our website, www.apmciloilo.com. All participants will be on mute mode to facilitate order in this meeting. Please use the chat box for queries and comments. This meeting will be recorded. We will start in 10 minutes. Good morning. Welcome to the 2023 Annual Stockholders Meeting of Asia Pacific Medical Center, Iloilo. We would like to inform our stockholders that copies of the meeting documents, including the 2023 Definitive Information Statement, may be downloaded from our website, www.apmc-iloilo.com. All participants will be on mute mode to facilitate order in this meeting. Please use the chat box for queries and comments. This meeting will be recorded. We will start in 5 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2023 Annual Stockholders Meeting of Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo Incorporated. May we request everyone to stand for the invocation and please remain standing for the national anthem.
Dear Heavenly Father, we gather here today in the spirit of unity and gratitude as we commence the annual stockholders meeting of Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo. We humbly come before you, seeking your guidance, wisdom, and blessings upon this gathering. As we come together today, we ask for your presence to be with us. Grant us clarity of mind, discernment, and insight as we discuss important matters that will shape the future of our organization. May our decisions be guided by integrity, responsibility, and a shared commitment to excellence. Bless us with good health, resilience, and unity as we navigate through challenges and pursue our mission of delivering compassionate care and improving lives. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your blessings, and may this meeting be productive, harmonious, and fruitful. May it strengthen our bonds as a community and reinforce our shared vision for a healthier future. In your name we pray. Amen.
Kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, helas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidinig. Lumalang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, mo'y langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, stockholders and guests, may I present you the 2022 to 2023 Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo Incorporated Board of Directors. Chairman, Dr. Ferginel Gonzalez Beron. President, Dr. Amado Lavalle Jr. Vice Chairman, Dr. Meredy Lavilla. Executive Vice President, Dr. Danilo Regozo. Treasurer, Dr. Agnes Jean Villaflor. Assistant Treasurer, Mr. Lemuel Fernandez. Members, Dr. Felibert Janco, Dr. Lucille Gomez, Dr. Felix Nolasco, Dr. Ruben Ramirez, Dr. Fredelyn Samoro, Attorney Rolex Suplico. Independent Directors, Dr. Jerusha Comuelo, Maria Teresa De Buque, Mr. Noel Gonzalez. The founders of Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo Incorporated. The key executive officers. And now, let's all welcome the Chairman of the Board of Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo, Dr. Ferginel G. Beron, to formally open this annual stockholders meeting.
Good morning. At 9:15 in the morning of June 30, 2023, I call this annual stockholders meeting to order. As in previous years, this meeting is being convened via remote communication through the Zoom webinar application and is being recorded in compliance with the requirements of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Before we begin the meeting proper, let me recognize our directors, officers, and guests who are present in this meeting. We have with us today our President, Dr. Amado Lavalle Jr., our Vice Chairman, Dr. Meridi Lavilla, our Executive Vice President, Dr. Danilo Rigoso, Attorney Maylene Villanueva, our Corporate Secretary and Compliance Officer, Dr. Agnes Villaflor, our Corporate Treasurer, Mr. Elmer Zamoro, our Chief Finance Officer, Attorney Annalie Generoso, our Assistant Corporate Secretary, Mr. Lemuel Fernandez, our Assistant Corporate Treasurer, Dr. Gerald Abonado, our Hospital Administrator, Ms. Tony Dinachir Fernandez, our Investor Relations Officer, other members of the board, and representatives of the Macolangan and the Macolangan, our external auditor, who are joining the meeting via Zoom. May we now ask our Corporate Secretary to show proof that the stockholders have been duly notified of this meeting.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. As required by the Securities Regulation Code and in compliance with the revised Corporation Code and the notice of the SEC dated March 13, 2023, the notice for today's meeting was published in the business sections of two newspapers of general circulation, namely the Manila Times and Manila Standard. The last day of publication, June 9, 2023, is at least 21 days prior to the date of this meeting. Affidavit of publication were executed by the respective authorized representatives of Manila Times and Manila Standard, the publishing companies engaged by management for the purpose. The affidavits are hereby submitted for the record. Moreover, the notice of this meeting was posted in the company's website at www.apmc-iloilo.com. I therefore certify that our stockholders have been notified of this meeting according to our bylaws and applicable rules, including our internal guidelines in participation in annual stockholders meeting via remote communication and voting in absentia, which are embodied in our definitive information statement that the Securities and Exchange Commission approved.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We now move on to the determination of the existence of a quorum. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum for today's meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. As stated in the guidelines for the conduct of today's virtual meeting, the last day for registration for today's meeting was on June 28, 2023. Based on our tally of those who successfully registered online and validated proxies on hand, the number of shareholders present and in person and represented by proxy are shown on the screen. I therefore certify that a quorum exists for the valid transaction of business at today's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Before we proceed any further, Madam Secretary, can you briefly discuss the rules for conduct of and the voting procedure for this meeting today?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The voting rights of each stockholder and the requirements and procedure for participation by remote communication and voting in absentia has been set forth in the definitive information statement. I would just like to highlight, Mr. Chairman, the following points to our stockholders who are joining us in the Zoom meeting. 1. Stockholders have successfully completed the registration and verification procedure on or before June 28, 2023 may participate in today's virtual meeting and shall be considered present for quorum purposes. 2. Stockholders who registered online or who notified the company via email to corpsec@apmciloilo.com of their intention to participate in this meeting via remote communication may send their questions and comments on agenda matters to the same email address. For the orderly conduct of today's business, these questions will be addressed later in the meeting. Questions received after 9 a.m. will be responded to via email due to the time element involved in virtual meetings. 3. The matters submitted for voting at today's meeting are as follows. A. Approval of the minutes of the 2022 Annual Stockholders Meeting. B. Noting of the updates on construction. C. Approval of the management report and the audited financial statement as of December 31, 2022. D. Ratification of all acts, transactions, and resolutions of the Board of Directors and Management since the 2022 Annual Stockholders Meeting. E. Election of directors for 2023 to 2024. F. Appointment of external auditor for 2023 to 2024. 4. Voting in absentia is recognized in this annual stockholders meeting. Stockholders had cast their votes for the proposed resolutions and election of directors for 2023 from June 23, 2023 to June 28, 2023, and the online voting portal can still join the meeting, and the polls shall remain open until the end of the meeting for stockholders who had successfully registered to cast their votes electronically in the online voting portal. 5. The initial votes have been tabulated after the end of the proxy validation process and the preliminary canvassing for the voting and absentia system. These votes are from stockholders owning 204,336 voting shares, representing 100% of the shares present in this meeting and 85.17% of the total outstanding shares of 239,870 shares. I will be referring to the results of this preliminary tabulation when I report the voting results throughout this meeting. The results of the final tabulation of votes with full details of affirmative and negative votes, as well as abstentions, will be reflected in the minutes of this meeting. Finally, we would like to remind our stockholders that this virtual meeting is being recorded in video and audio format in compliance with the requirements of Securities and Exchange Commission. That is all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Corporate Secretary. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes of the regular stockholders meeting held on 29th of September 2022. Madam Corporate Secretary, were the stockholders apprised of this item in the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair. A copy of the minutes of the annual stockholders meeting in 2022, prepared in accordance with the requirements of the revised corporation code, was posted on the company's website. The matters approved in the previous stockholders meeting were provided under Annex F of the definitive information statement, which was uploaded in the company's website. For that reason, Mr. Chair, it is hereby proposed that we dispense with the reading of minutes of the 2022 annual stockholders meeting and approve the minutes as appearing in the company's records.
The proposal is duly noted. Before we tally the votes in this item, we may know from the Corporate Secretary if you received any inquiries on this matter.
Mr. Chair, there were no questions submitted via email regarding this matter.
Madam Corporate Secretary, may we know the tally of votes on this matter?
Mr. Chairman, the tally of votes and validated proxies is shown on the screen. Based on the total votes received, majority of the outstanding shares of the company present in this meeting approved the minutes of the 2022 annual stockholders meeting held on September 29, 2022.
Thank you, Madam Corporate Secretary. Based on the report of the Corporate Secretary, the minutes of the 2022 annual stockholders meeting held on September 29, 2022 is hereby approved. Madam Corporate Secretary, let the minutes reflect the vote on this matter. The next item on the agenda is the presentation of the updates on construction.
To our Chairman of the Board, Dr. Ferginel Beron, our President, Dr. Amado Lavalli, to the Board of Directors, Founders, Stockholders, and guests of Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo, good morning. It's been a long and arduous journey sailing along the waves of challenges, and most will ask first and foremost, is it worth the wait? Dear stockholders, presently, we are at the final stretch of the construction and at the overall percentage of 99.7%. The following are the percentage per discipline. Structural, 100%. Architectural exterior, 100%. Architectural interior, 99.48%. Electrical, 99.4%. Mechanical, 99.5%. Plumbing, 99.26%. And landscaping, 100%. We are presently on the testing and commissioning stage of construction. The following are ongoing: air balancing of our aircon system, synchronization of our gensets, refinements in our building management system, snagging works of our architectural fit-outs, all of which will be completed before end of July. The challenges we encountered for this past year are basically due to the new requirements of Department of Health in connection to the pandemic and the delayed of transport of materials and equipments needed for these requirements from abroad, an offshoot of the pandemic and Russian-Ukraine war. Dear stockholders, for those who have not visited our hospital, this is your Apmc Iloilo. It consists of 9 floors, a basement, and a helipad where the 10th floor underneath is utilized as offices. We have 3 elevators for patients and guests, 1 service elevator, a ramp connecting all the floors, 2 fire exit stairs, and 1 dumbwaiter dedicated to our nutrition and dietetic unit in the 9th floor. Negative pressure ventilation system are installed and tested in the ER, pathology department, OR and DR for infectious cases in the 4th floor, COVID patients rooms in the 6th floor, and isolation rooms in the 5th to 8th floors. Each room of both the operating room complex and the ICU complexes are provided with positive pressure ventilation system, assuring sterility in this area, except for the infectious ICU where the opposite negative pressure ventilation system were installed, ensuring preventive measures in the spread of infection. Likewise, laminar flow system have been installed and tested in the OR-DR complex. At the back of the main building is our powerhouse within are 4 1 MVA gensets, transformers, and automatic switchgears. Our basement, peripheral areas, and 1 hectare lot at the back of the building will provide adequate parking spaces. In our basement are the following: engineering office, housekeeping department, CCTV room, security room, warehouse, central sterilizing and supply room, IT office, biomed engineering unit, cadaver holding, and the behavioral unit ward. In our ground floor are the following: a hotel-like lobby with our grand LED wall, an emergency room with a separate pedia and adult wings. In our ER are the triage area, trauma room, and a secured negatively pressurized glass mold holding area for infectious cases. A clinical laboratory with a state-of-the-art instrument is connected to all the nurse station by the pneumatic system. And our imaging department is divided into 2 wings. In the first are the following: the CT scan room, MRI room, the floor-mounted X-ray room, ceiling-mounted X-ray room, and our portable X-rays are stored in this wing. In the second wing are the mammography room, ultrasound rooms, panoramic X-ray room, and the fluoroscopy room. Our pharmacy on the ground floor is constructed along the ramp driveway in order to cater both inpatient and outpatient clients and is connected by a pneumatic tube system not only to the main pharmacy on the 4th floor, but also to all the nursing stations, operating room complex, emergency room, and the ICU complex. The other section on the ground floor are the following: the admitting department, cashier and billing section, customer's relation office, and the convenience store. In our 2nd floor are the following: the operating room complex, which comprises of the following: 3 major operating rooms, 1 cath lab, 1 opta operating room, 1 minor operating room, 2 OBDRCS room, and a post-anesthesia care unit. All operating fields in the operating rooms are provided with laminar flow ventilation, thereby complying with the needed sterility during procedures. Our intensive care unit complex is divided into 5 subunits with a total of 21 beds. This consists of the following: the non-infectious adult, the infectious adult, the surgical, the pediatric, and the neonatal ICU, and a stroke unit. Also in this floor are the following: the endoscopy room, the women's center, the chapel, the VIP lounge for our stockholders, the nursing department office, the ancillary department, and the executive vice president office. In our 3rd floor are the following: the eye center, the cardiac and neuro center, the pulmo center, blood bank, a breastfeeding station, a dedicated OR and DR for infectious cases, provided with negative pressure ventilation. In the 3rd and 4th floors are our medical clinic offices. There are a total of 40 clinic rooms for both 3rd and 4th floor, which can accommodate 160 doctors per day. These offices can be converted to private rooms with minor architectural modification if needed in the future. In the 4th floor are the following: the rehab center, the dialysis center, the wellness center, the dental center, and our main pharmacy is in this floor and is provided with pneumatic system connecting to all nursing station and special areas. The 5th to 8th floors consist of patients' rooms. Our wall panels along our hallways are made of RMD boards, which are chemical and impact resistant and expected to last for 20 years. All our vinyl floors are with antibacterial properties, and all patient doors are 1-hour fire rated, while our main fire exit doors are 2 hours fire rated. In the 5th floor are 4 beds in the step-down ICU room, wherein the 6th floor we have 7 beds in the COVID wing. There is a total of 28 ward beds. All the ward beds are within the 5th to 8th floor, except for the behavioral unit ward, which is situated in the basement. There are 23 semi-private rooms with 46 beds, 87 standard private rooms, 31 suite rooms, and 7 residential suites. On the 9th floor is the following: the executive offices, the administrative offices, the boardroom, the grand auditorium which can accommodate 400 guests, the nutrition and dietetics unit, and the Cafe 9, our dining room. Dear stockholders, the founders and administrative staff welcome you all to your Asia Pacific Medical Center, Iloilo. Our wait is over, and I am very sure all can proudly say it is worth the wait. With this note, I would like to express my gratitude to our chairman, Dr. Ferjanel Beron, who gathered and shared us his vision, and to all the founders and friends who gave their share of personal sacrifices, and all who prayed that this noble project will be a reality. Above all, to God be the glory. Thank you and good morning to all.
Thank you, Dr. Rigoso. May I ask the Corporate Secretary to present the proposed resolution and the preliminary voting results.
Mr. Chairman, management is proposing the adoption of ASM Resolution number 2023-02, noting the updates on construction. Mr. Chairman, the tally of votes and validated proxies is shown on the screen.
Thank you, Madam Corporate Secretary. Based on the report of the Corporate Secretary, the resolution was approved and our stockholders have noted the updates on construction. Madam Corporate Secretary, let the minutes reflect the vote on this matter. Before we proceed with the annual report, let us watch and listen to the chairman's message.
Good morning to all our founders and stockholders. Once again, we are given this opportunity to have this meaningful interaction in a formal setting, not only with our fellow investors, but our invited stakeholders of Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo, Inc. As in previous years, the annual stockholders meeting is a venue for the board and top management to present the management report and engage the parties involved in the key issues confronting the hospital, scrutinize the financial information from the previous year, and respond to any question regarding concerns affecting the business of the hospital. The COVID-19 pandemic has not yet fully passed, but as restrictions started to relax, we gained more confidence in looking at the bright prospects of our hospital. After years of construction, countless delays, and 3 months into the commencement of our operations, we have successfully navigated the complicated and difficult task of redesigning an almost completed hospital into a pandemic-ready healing environment that is now the Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo. It is with great pride and honor that I inform our stakeholders that finally we will commence commercial operations on or before the end of September 2023. Perhaps many of you have already heard that we held the inauguration and blessing of our hospital building last May 28, 2023. One significant development this year is the approval of the registration of Apmc Iloilo as a domestic market enterprise engaged in private general hospital activities by the Fiscal Incentive Review Board that makes our company entitled to 6 years income tax holiday, 5 years enhanced deductions, and 11 years duty exemption. With these incentives, we hope that the increased cost of construction as well as the rising interest cost will be offset. We are immensely grateful for the confidence of the public in our hospital project, especially our corporate stockholders who shared their company resources with us for mutually beneficial arrangements. Regretfully, for those who hesitated and waited for the completion of our project, we no longer have shares to offer. Enthusiasm is common, endurance is rare, says Angela Duckworth. Global growth is projected to slow from an estimated 6.1% in 2021 to 3.6% in 2022 and 2023. Global trade remains under pressure due to geopolitical tensions, wrecking global demand, and tighter monetary and fiscal policies. Nonetheless, we are optimistic because the hospital industry can be a major economic driver as improved health enlarges the labor force, and increases productivity. However, while we expect to hurdle the effects of the global economic crisis once we operate, the biggest challenge confronting us is the production and recruitment of health personnel. To broaden our recruitment base, we have entered into a memorandum of agreement with the University of San Agustin, which also happens to be our biggest corporate stockholder, to be its base hospital for its College of Health and Allied Medical Professions, and all related courses that they may offer in the future that may require a base hospital, including a College of Medicine. As we explore more strategic partnerships and linkages in the coming years, we shall be focusing on long-term growth and value-creating opportunities. In the conduct of our business, we will work on elaborate internal control while continuously improving and implementing best practices in hospital care. Our operations manual is almost ready and being meticulously reviewed. While our core values, mission and vision remain the same, we are determined to outpace ourselves in our own predetermined goals to ensure economic efficiency, sustainable growth, and financial stability. We would not have made it this far if not for the public investors who answered our call to build our legacy hospital. You have been steadfast in supporting us even if the numbers in our reports did not look promising, because you know that once we take off, our growth will be unstoppable. Let me end this message with words from Henry Ward Beecher. Hold yourself responsible for a higher standard than anybody else expects of you. Never excuse yourself. Never pity yourself. Be a hard master to yourself and be lenient to others. That is our story, and now that we have inaugurated and blessed our medical center, we begin the work to revolutionize healthcare in Iloilo and Western Visayas. Thank you very much.
We now move on the next item on the agenda, which is a presentation of the annual report, which shall consist of the management report, audiovisual presentation of the hospital, and presentation of the 2022 audited financial statements by the corporate treasurer. Let us acknowledge our president, Dr. Amado Lavalle Jr., to render his report.
Dr. Ferdinand Beron, Chairman, Apmc Iloilo, officers and board of directors, esteemed stockholders, health professionals, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2023 Annual Stockholders Meeting of Apmc Iloilo. It is an honor and privilege to stand before you today and present the collective efforts and accomplishments of our dedicated team. Your presence is a testament to your unwavering commitment to the success and growth of our organization. In the face of unprecedented challenges, we have remained steadfast in our mission. At the heart of our mission is a deep-rooted commitment to excellence in healthcare. In addition, we recognize the importance of responsible stewardship of your investment. We are committed to maintaining transparency, accountability, and good governance practice that will foster trust and confidence among our valued stockholders. Today's meeting serves as an opportunity to provide you with an update on our financial performance and plans. As of May 15, 2023, the total percentage of completion of the construction of the multidisciplinary hospital is 99.7%. But as you see now, it is only a matter of months from our eventual operation. Several revisions were done in various areas, including the emergency rooms, laboratories, operating and delivery rooms, among others, to address the problem of COVID-19, which continue to be a concern. Safety facilities for infection control were installed, including HEPA filters in the operating rooms and positive and negative pressure ventilations. Our hospital was designed to comply with the requirement of International Organization for Standardization and Joint Commission International, which envisions a future of zero harm and highly reliable care delivery. The various medical departments of the hospital have been organized, and its chairpersons have met with the respective staff, and orientation of policies have commenced. Highly qualified medical specialists established in their fields of practice and known here in the locality of Iloilo, and some from Manila who made it to the cut after evaluation of the Credential and Privileging Committee, will compose the roster of medical experts and lead the Apmc Iloilo Medical Center team that will carry on our mission of professional medicine, personal care. Soon we shall unveil our flagship centers, among which are the High-Risk Pregnancy and Women's Health Center, Aesthetic Center, Regenerative Medicine Center. Also in the works are our Cardiac Cath Laboratory, Eye Center, and Oncology Center. Of the 3,600 blocks that were allowed by the Securities and Exchange Commission for initial public offering, only 13 blocks remain to be officially sold, though they have already been reserved. That makes the subscribed shares at 239,870 shares, with 14.91% being owned by the public. The inauguration of Apmc Iloilo took place on May 28, 2023, with construction activities focusing on testing and commissioning of finished works, as well as minor modifications and retouching of architectural finishes. The hospital management team is actively working to meet the documentary and operational requirement set by the Department of Health for the hospital's license to operate. Various departments are undergoing regular orientation and training in preparation for the implementation of a fully integrated hospital information system. The Nursing Service Office is conducting in-house training and actively recruiting additional nursing staff. The Medical Service Office is finalizing the roster of medical staff, including junior consultants and hospitalists, who will be responsible for the different clinical departments and units once the hospital begins its operation. Commercial operation is anticipated to begin on or before September 2023, pending compliance with all regulatory requirements. The hospital has submitted an additional loan request from the Land Bank of the Philippines, which is still awaiting approval. The loan request includes additional working capital and a short-term credit loan to meet the cash requirements for the upcoming commercial operation. It also includes provisions for an additional loan facility for equipment purchases not initially included in the list. Currently, the hospital has 255 employees. However, in order to meet the manpower requirements for the initial operation of the 100-bed capacity hospital. The plan is to contract a minimum of 694 employees by the end of this year. Among the highlights of the previous year and the first half of 2023 are as follows. Testing and commissioning of CT scan, X-ray machines, mammography, and ultrasound units was completed in May 2023. We work with TIPLAS for a fully integrated hospital information system. We collaborated with IT consultants for our network security and installation of our hospital trunk line. Intensive recruitment of employees and nurses started January 2023 to bolster our human resources. Keeping up with the principles of transparency and accountability, we allowed investors to inspect the hospital project by conducting open houses and guided tours. The following are the results of our operation as of the previous quarter and last year. The hospital is currently not operational, resulting in other income primarily coming from bank interest on deposits. Fluctuations in the balances maintained throughout the year contribute to the increase in other income. Despite not being operational, the hospital has incurred general and administrative expenses due to administrative and management transactions during the construction period. The expenses increased in March 2023 primarily due to high salaries and wages as the number of personnel increased fourfold compared to the previous year. To sustain construction and equipment acquisition, the company sought additional financial assistance, resulting in finance costs due to interest payments. As a result of being in the construction phase and not yet operational, the hospital has incurred losses. The expenses related to general and administrative costs and finance costs were higher in March 2023 compared to the same period in 2022, as reflected in the company's financial statements. Notable are the changes in statement of financial condition from March 31, 2023 versus March 31, 2022. As such, for the assets, the cash balances have been kept relatively low due to prioritizing the construction of the hospital and payments for obligations and machinery. It is expected that cash figures will improve once the hospital starts operating. The unused supply account was set up in preparation for the hospital upcoming opening expected this year. Advances made to contractors and suppliers were recorded to account for down payments made by the company. As hospital construction progressed, the receivables increased in March 2023. Advance from contractors amounted to 80.4 million compared to 52.6 million in March 2022. In 2020, a significant portion of equipment and machinery was transferred to the hospital site in preparation for the planned opening that year. The advances account was reduced by 257 million and included in the company's asset. The ending balance for 2020 was 32 million. In 2021, a down payment of 3.5 million to TIPLAS was recorded. The year-end balances for 2021 and 2022 were 64.99 million and 35.59 million respectively. In March 2023, additional advances totaling 38.98 million were made to T+. The equipment was transferred to the hospital site in preparation for the opening of the hospital. As of March 2023, total PPEs stands at 473 million, which was 41 million higher than the previous year of the same period. As of March 31, 2023, the total amount used for the construction of the building is 1.62 billion. The accounts payable consist mainly of retention payables, government liabilities, and other payables. As of March 31, 2023, the balance of the account is 105.1 million, which is 17 million higher compared to March 2022. The company borrowed money from Phil Pharma Wealth Incorporated in June 2021, initially amounting to 11.83 million. Additional releases were made thereafter, bringing total loans to 246.4 million as of March 31, 2023. The company entered into a loan agreement with Land Bank of the Philippines for the construction and equipment of the hospital. The total loan amount is 1,060 million, released in tranches. As of March 31, 2023, outstanding loans from Land Bank of the Philippines amount to 943.1 million. The premiums recorded from the sales of stock during the IPO amounts to 927.3 million as of March 31, 2023. The price of the shares varied depending on the tranche from which they were purchased. Since the company is still in the construction stage of the hospital, no operation income has been recognized. However, administrative and general expenses have been recorded since 2016, resulting in total deficit of 224.37 million. The quick asset ratios for the 3 periods presented do not indicate a favorable number. This is mainly because the company's resources are currently being utilized for the construction of the hospital. As a result, the quick asset ratio is not at an optimal level. Currently, the company's cash and other current assets are being used for the construction of the hospital. This utilization of resources has not affected the current ratio, presenting less attractive information. However, it is anticipated that the current ratio will improve once the hospital begins its operation. The company's long-term debts are fully covered by its equities. The figures indicate that the company's debt-to-equity ratio is favorable and improving, particularly due to the increase in sales of securities through the IPO. The total obligations of the company account for slightly more than 50% of its resources. This indicates that the company's assets are increasing as the construction nears completion. While this may seem positive, it's important to note that the debts incurred for the construction of the hospital are still outstanding, and the hospital is yet to start operating. The equity represents nearly half of the company's assets, which is a positive indication. This is mainly attributed to the proceeds from the sales of securities, which has significantly contributed to the funding of the hospital construction. The company is at its construction stage. Given so, payment of interest are dependent on funds generated through sales of securities and not from income generated. Nonetheless, there is light at the end of the tunnel. On April 14, 2023, the Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo was registered by the Philippine Board of Investment as a domestic marketing enterprise engaged in private general hospital activities, entitled to income tax holiday for 6 years, enhanced deduction for 5 years, and duty exemption for 11 years. Benefits that will be derived from this registration is expected to offset interest expenses incurred and absorb the effects of inflation. In closing, as we embark on this pivotal annual stockholders meeting, let us remember that our shared purpose is to make a meaningful impact on the lives of patients, families, and communities. The success of Apmc Iloilo will be a collective effort of every individual who is part of our extended family, including our dedicated employees, esteemed stockholders, and valued partners. On behalf of the Board of Directors and the entire team, I express my sincere gratitude for your continued support and belief in our mission. Together, let us embrace the opportunities that lie ahead and shape the future of healthcare. Thank you.
Quality healthcare isn't what you do. It's how it's done. At the Asia Pacific Medical Center, quality healthcare isn't just the best facilities and equipment. It's putting these tools in the best minds and hearts. We call in experts and professionals with decades of experience, so you can call them your friends and confidants. Healthcare isn't just the latest medical technology in Southeast Asia. It's also healthy doses of sunlight and smiles in the morning. Because we know it's not just about your health, it's about your well-being. That's how we do quality healthcare, by championing technology, competence, and compassion. From start to finish, everything is personalized to you. A state-of-the-art medical experience tailored to your comfort and care awaits you here. Professional medicine, personal care. The Asia Pacific Medical Center.
Good morning. This presents the audited financial statements of Asia Pacific Medical Center, Iloilo. The independent auditor, Di Maculangan Company and CPAs, appointed by the stockholders during the 2022 Annual Stockholders Meeting report that the financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of APMCI as at December 31, 2021 and 2022, and the financial performance and the cash flow of the company for the years ended December 31, 2022, 2021, and 2020 is in accordance with the Philippine Financial Reporting Standard. The total assets of the company as at December 31, 2022, is 2,024,980,690, a 9.67% increase higher from 1,816,986,598 as of December 31, 2021. Advances to contractors for the various awarded projects comprised more than half of the current assets, with the same trends seen as at December 31, 2022 and 2021. The rest of the current assets are from the company's cash in banks and advances to the suppliers for the down payments of the medical equipment and construction materials, and valued at 74,107,106 in December 2022 and 79,836,479 as at December 2021. Looking at the figures, 96% of the total assets are non-current for the years 2021 and 2022, and these are the accumulated costs for the construction of the hospital and the additional purchase of property and equipment. The net carrying value of the non-current assets increased from 1,895,984,598 at December 31, 2021 to 2,024,873,495 as at December 31, 2022. The total liabilities increased by 15.45% from 1,080,406,272 in December 31, 2021 to 1,277,897,071 in December 31, 2022. The current liabilities as of December 31, 2022 is 182,314,071 compared to December 31, 2021, which is valued at 145,308,462. These liabilities are the retention payables, unpaid billings of contractors and suppliers, loans payables, and accrued interest payments. The non-current liabilities are from both the non-interest and interest-bearing loans made by the company, which summed up to 1,095,583,000 in December 2022 and 937,097,810 in December 2021. Additional subscription of 610,000 shares increased the net capital share of the company to 235,670,000 as at December 31, 2022. Subtracting the costs of transactions and other expenses associated with issuance of shares, the share premium increased to 783,283,289 from 726,166,619 last year, making the total equity as of December 31, 2022, 821,083,619 from 815,578,326 as at December 31, 2021. So the total liabilities and equity of APMCI as at December 31, 2022, reconciled with its total assets as reported above at 2,098,980,690 as at December 31, 2022. Since the hospital is not yet on commercial operation, the income generated come from the interest in the bank accounts. The losses are due to the general and administrative expenses, operation cost, and the finance cost used for the purchase of medical equipment and fixtures, and this gave a total comprehensive loss of 52,221,917, 35,006,627, and 43,369,210 in the years ended December 31, 2022, 2021, and 2020, respectively. The basic loss per share is 221.59 pesos, 148 pesos and 93 cents, and 196 and 3 cents in the years ended December 31, 2022, 2021, and 2020, respectively. There is no potential dilutive ordinary shares outstanding seen in the last 3 years. On December 27, 2018, the Securities Exchange Commission and Bank, under the SEC MSRD Order Number 37, approved effective the registration statement of the company for 240,000 shares broken as primary offering sold by way of initial public offering for 36,000 shares and excluded in the offer the remaining issued and outstanding 600 founder shares and the 203,400 common shares. In January 2020, the share capital of the company was at 168,150,000. A total of 67,520,000 additional shares were issued from January 20 to December 31, 2022. So as at December 31, 2022, pursuant to the SEC's approval, the company has issued a total of 31,260 common shares, giving a total of 235,670,000 compared to 235,060,000 share capital as at December 31, 2021. Deducting the transaction costs related to the issuance of the shares, the share premium for the year ended December 31, 2022 is 783,283,829, with a deficit of 197,870,210. The total equity is 821,083,619 as at December 31, 2022, compared to 815,578,326 as at December 31, 2021, and 764,060,314 as at December 31, 2020. The statement of cash flows are from operating, investing, and financing activities of the company. Considering the comprehensive losses as reported above, plus the adjustments from depreciation, amortization, interest income, and primarily from interest expenses, the operating cash outflows is 81,632,238 in 2022, 50,462,427 in 2021, and 56,872,374 for the year ended 2020. With some adjustment changes in the working capital components from the decrease in the current assets and the increase in current liabilities, plus the small adjustments from the received interests, the net cash used in operating activities of the company for the year ended December 2022 is 39,648,802, while in the year ended December 31, 2021, it is 79,980,431 and 210,200,578 in December 31, 2020. Cash flow from investing activities. The cash used in the last 3 years were mainly due to additions to construction in progress and property and equipment. The construction of our hospital building used 484,424,289 in 2020 and 142,521,745 in 2021. In the year ended December 31, 2022, the total cash used in investing activities has a carrying amount of 203,310,989, with 172,790,751 used for construction in progress, and the remaining 30,520,238 in property and equipment. The cash flows from financing activities of the company for the last 3 years come from the additional share capital, additional share premium, additional loans payable, and payments of principal and interest on bank loans. The cash provided by the financing activities is 239,960,019 in the year ended December 2022, 188,834,969 in the year ended December 31, 2021, and 306,874,502 in December 2020, resulting to a net increase of 32,650,831 with the end of year cash of 48,022,046 reported in December 2020. On the other hand, a net decrease of 33,507,714 with the end year cash of 14,514,332 was reported in December 31, 2021. There was a further decrease in net cash of 2,999,722 in the year ended December 31, 2022, leaving an end-year cash of only 11,514,560 in the same period. This ends the financial statements report of APMCI. Thank you very much.
Madam Corporate Secretary, are there other matters that our stockholders must be informed of?
Mr. Chairman, in compliance with the revised corporation code, the stockholders must be informed of the total compensation received by each directors during the past year. As the company is not yet operational, the Chief Financial Officer prepared a report on the per diems received by the individual directors, which was attached in the information statement, together with a detailed management report that is compliant with the requirements of the Securities Regulation Code.
Thank you. Did we receive inquiries regarding our management report?
Mr. Chair, there were no questions submitted online regarding this matter.
Since there are no questions, let us proceed on the next item in the agenda. The approval of the management report as included in the information statement, together with the annual financial statements of the company for the year 2022. You have just heard the President's report and the results of the company's operations and the Treasurer's report, which are also reflected in the audited financial statements and the annual report, copies of which were made available to our stockholders via the company's website. Madam Corporate Secretary, kindly represent the proposed resolution and the report for the tally of votes in this item in the agenda.
Mr. Chair, on the screen is a proposed resolution on this matter. The tally of votes and the validated proxies is also shown on screen. Based on the total votes received, majority of the outstanding shares present in this meeting voted in favor of this matter.
Thank you, Madam Corporate Secretary. With majority stockholders owning outstanding shares present and voting in favor of the matter, the management report, as summarized in the information statement and reflected in the annual report, together with the annual financial statements for the period ending December 31, 2022, is hereby noted and approved. Madam Corporate Secretary, let the minutes reflect the tally of votes on this matter. We can now address questions and comments from our stockholders. Ms. Tony Dinachir Fernandez will read aloud the questions and comments together with the names of the stockholders who sent them. As mentioned by Attorney Villanueva, questions and emails that are not taken up shall be addressed via email.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to our officers and directors of Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo. We have not received any inquiries or clarifications from our stockholders via email or in the chat box as of 8 a.m. today, June 30, 2023. However, the Office of the Investment Relations has received questions sent via SMS by our stockholders, and 3 of which we picked out due to their relevance and importance. Let me read the first question sent by Mr. John Domingo. It says, last May 28, 2023, Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo held its inauguration. As an investor eagerly awaiting for the opening, may I know when will the hospital commence its commercial operation?
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman, please.
Thank you, Ms. Fernandez. In response to Mr. Domingo's question, while Apmc Iloilo was inaugurated last May 28, 2023, it was an occasion to inform all our stockholders that the hospital has almost completed its construction activities and indeed ready for commercial operation. At present, all our 200 nurses, other medical and non-medical staff are undergoing stringent training in order to equip them and ensure that they're capable to offer and undertake the best medical care to all our patients. Once all our licenses and permits from the Department of Health, the Food and Drug Administration, and the city government of Iloilo, among others, are approved, we are ready to start our operation. We expect all these to be completed by end of August so that we can commence operation by September of 2023.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So that means we will definitely start commercial operations in year 2023, this year. Thank you. Okay, we have a second question, another question sent by Dr. Ralph Geronimo, and it says, given that Asia Pacific Medical Center Iloilo is considered to be the finest medical center and the hospital of choice for most of the Ilonggos because of its modern and state-of-the-art facilities, may I know if the hospital fees are affordable for its stockholders and patients?
Thank you for that question, Ms. Fernandez. The management of Apmc Iloilo assures all its stockholders and the general public that it shall remain competitive and reasonable with respect to all its diagnostic and therapeutic services, including cost of medicines and medical supplies. Final question, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have another question. This time it was submitted to us, sent to us by Engineer Rina Gonzalez. As an investor with elderly and sick members of the family, I learned that APMC Iloilo is planning to establish a stem cell and or regenerative center and cancer center. Are these treatments services available upon opening of the hospital?
The hospital will include in its services a stem cell or regenerative center and a cancer center, including the new cutting-edge technology of using natural killer cells for stage 3 and stage 4 cancers, which will be the first in the country. These services should be made available by the end of 2023. Thank you so much for those questions, Ms. Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We now move on to the next item on our agenda, the ratification and approval of all the acts, proceedings, and resolution of the Board of Directors and corporate officers since our annual stockholders meeting last 29 of September 2022 up to the present, as reflected in the minutes of the meetings of the Board of Directors. The summary of these acts, proceedings, and resolutions were included in the information statement. These acts, proceedings, and resolutions were discussed and approved in the meetings of the board and its committees and are covered by the minutes which are on file with the Office of the Corporate Secretary. These minutes are available for inspection upon the request of any stockholder. Before we tally the votes on this item, may we know from the Corporate Secretary whether we receive inquiries on this matter?
Mr. Chair, there were no questions received online on this matter.
Since there are no queries, Madam Corporate Secretary, kindly present the proposed resolution for this item.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution on this matter is shown on the screen. We have also tallied and validated the following votes cast via proxy and in absentia. Based on the total votes received, majority of the outstanding shares of the company present in this meeting voted in favor of approving all the legal acts, resolutions, and proceedings of the Board of Directors and the management of the company from the time of the last annual stockholders meeting on September 29, 2022 up to the present date.
Thank you, Madam Corporate Secretary. With stockholders owning majority of the outstanding shares present voting in favor of the matter, all the acts, proceedings, and resolutions of the Board of Directors and management from the date of the last annual stockholders meeting up to the present, as reflected in the minutes of the meetings of the Board of Directors, are hereby approved, confirmed, and ratified. Madam Corporate Secretary, let the minutes of this meeting reflect the tally of votes on the matter. The next order of business is the election of the 15 directors for the ensuing year. I would like to request Director Rolex T. Soplico, Chairman of Nominations and Election Committee, to explain this item.
Good morning. Mr. Chairman, in accordance with our bylaws, Manual on Corporate Governance, and the pertinent rules and regulations of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the following stockholders were nominated to the Board of Directors for the ensuing term. Nominees for regular Board of Directors: Dr. Ferginel G. Piron, Dr. Filibert O. Gianco, Mr. Lemuel Fernandez, Dr. Lucille M. Gomez, Dr. Meridi D. Lavilla, Dr. Amado M. Lavalle, Dr. Felix P. Nolasco, Dr. Mary Flor Gafati Ong, Dr. Danilo C. Rigoso, Dr. Fredelin G. Zamoro, Attorney Rolex T. Suplico, and Dr. Agnes M. Villaflor. The nominees for Independent Board of Directors are as follows: Dr. Jerusha A. Cumuelo, Maria Teresa F. De Buque, and Mr. Noel Gonzalez. Dr. Cumuelo, Mr. Gonzalez, and Mrs. De Buque have been nominated as independent directors. The Nomination and Election Committee of the Board has ascertained that the 50 nominees, including the 3 nominees for independent directors, are qualified to serve as directors of the corporation. All nominees have given their consent to their respective nominations. The profiles and business experiences of all the nominees are set out in Annex C1 of the information statement.
Thank you, Attorney Suplico. Madam Corporate Secretary, were there any questions about the nominees to the Board of Directors?
Mr. Chair, there were no questions submitted online regarding this matter.
Can we now hear a report from the Corporate Secretary regarding the votes on this item in the agenda?
Mr. Chair, we have tallied the ballots and the proxies received. Considering, however, that there are only 12 nominees for directors and 3 nominees for independent directors, or a total of 15 nominees for the 15 seats in the board, all the nominees are effectively elected as directors of the corporation for the year 2023-2024. The tally of the votes is nevertheless shown on the screen. Mr. Chair, the resolution regarding this matter is also shown on the screen.
Thank you, Madam Corporate Secretary. I hereby declare that the 15 nominees are duly elected as directors of the company for 2023-2024. Madam Corporate Secretary, let the minutes reflect the tally of votes on the matter. Before we proceed, let us take this opportunity to thank our outgoing director, Dr. Ruben Ramirez, for your service to the board since your election last 29th of September 2022. I would like to welcome Dr. Mary Flor Gafati Ong for your willingness to serve as director of Apmc Iloilo. The next item in the agenda is the appointment of the company's external auditor. May we request the chairman of the audit committee, Dr. Jerusha Cumuelo, to report on the nominated external auditor for the year.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Audit Committee is pleased to report that after careful deliberation and evaluation of the performance of the audit firm, the Maculangan and the Maculangan Company for the past fiscal year and competitiveness of its fees, the committee endorsed to the board its reappointment as external auditor of the company for the year 2023-2024. Based on the recommendation of the Audit Committee and the pre-approval authority granted by the Board of Directors to the committee, we endorse again the election of the Maculangan and the Maculangan as the corporation's external auditor for the present fiscal year for an audit fee of 271,040 pesos, exclusive of out-of-pocket expenses and per diems.
Madam Corporate Secretary, were there any questions about the reappointment of our external auditors?
Mr. Chair, there were no questions submitted online regarding this matter.
May we now request the Corporate Secretary to present the proposed resolution for this item and report on the tally of votes.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution on the appointment of the Maculangan and the Maculangan Company as external auditor for the ensuing year is shown on the screen. The tally of votes and validated proxies is likewise shown on the screen. Based on the total votes received, majority of the outstanding shares of the company present in this meeting voted in favor of the appointment of the Maculangan and the Maculangan and Company as external auditor of the company for the year 2023 to 2024.
Thank you, Madam Corporate Secretary. With stockholders owning majority of the outstanding shares present, voting in favor of the matter, The appointment of the Maculangan and the Maculangan and Company as external auditor of the company for the year 2023-2024 is hereby approved. Madam Corporate Secretary, let the minutes reflect the tally of votes on this matter. I believe we have discussed all the items in our agenda. Since we have no other matters left to discuss in this meeting is adjourned. In behalf of Apmc Iloilo, thank you for your continuous support. God bless everyone.